Hey everybody, and welcome back to Dude's Brunch, your late night morning talk show where four people talk about four things they found on the internet. I'm your host, Taylor Olmstead. With me, as always, live from Cincinnati, Ohio, it's Tyler Reed. Tyler, what did you have for brunch today?
Hi everybody. Today we went on a special adventure, Catherine and I. We went to Piper's, which is a place in Covington. Thank you, Catherine. That serves breakfast all day, but also has soft serve. So I had a Gouda, egg, cheese, potato, various assortments of peppers, like scramble, and then also had some peanut butter soft serve.
On top of it?
No, not on
You're
top.
You're a waste of life. Next.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry.
I'm going to disagree with Sean on that one. I think, if you think about the consistency, Sean, eggs and then soft serve, that would just get gross after a while. Yeah, you're wiping it all over your beard with your hands on the camera, and I'm just imagining, like, how awful that would be if you got both ice cream and eggs caught in your beard.
You remember the meme of the I flew up cat?
No.
Okay, we're going to post it in the show notes. That's exactly what it would probably look like.
Well, what did you have for brunch today down in D.C., Sean?
I had apple crisp coffee cake. Probably the most delicious raspberries I've had so far this year, and coffee.
Sean ate a legitimate meal, ladies and gentlemen. Let's all give him some golf claps for that. I'm very proud of you. You've come a long way. Thanks, bud. Our guest this week from Boston, Massachusetts?
Close enough.
You may know him from various other podcasts, including the many shows on the Incomparable network, as well as tons of tech journalism all over the internet. It's Dan Moren. Dan, welcome to the show. What did you have for brunch today?
It's so nice to be here. My brunch was a two-part affair. It was a very complex garlic bagel with cream cheese and orange juice and a tea for the sort of first installment. And then later in the day, I went for a walk and I had a bacon corn muffin, which was interesting. I think I was expecting more of a cornbread thing, and it was actually kind of sweet and bacony, so I'm really not sure what to make of that, but it was a pretty good follow-on.
That sounds delicious. Also, I see that you're observing the canonical bagel flavors, which is very important.
Does that is that a canonical bagel flavor? I had some issues. I had some arguments with Mr. Syracuse about the canonical bagel flavors on the internet.
I think garlic is on the list.
I think, you know what? I think it may be the one that's not, though. Because I argued, I'm going down the list. No, he's got onion, but no garlic. And that's why John and I, who are often confused for each other on podcasts, must come to blows. Although I will say, point of fact, the bagel I had was from a bakery that I happen to know is very close to John. And so I think that may be his local bagel supplier as well. So perhaps we'll hash that out some later day.
I could have sworn garlic was on that list. Either
I
way,
know, it seems like a
travesty,
is all I'm saying.
For those who aren't familiar, we'll have a link in the show notes to John Syracuse's canonical bagel flavors. My brunch this morning was pretty uneventful. I just had a cup of coffee and some leftover banana bread that I made earlier in the week. I don't know, just wasn't really feeling it this morning. Didn't really want to cook. I was feeling lazy. Probably because I had to do so much work getting ready for this podcast, not that that's actually true. Anyway, now we're going to launch into our 4 topics we found around the internet this week. But as always, you can play along with the show at home playing Dude's Brunch Bingo at dudesbrunch.wordpress.com/bingo. First person to tweet in a completed bingo board using tropes from the show wins a handmade prize from one of us. All right, so our first topic this week comes from none other than Sean Evans. Sean, what is this thing that you found for us?
So this week on the podcast, I want to talk about the song Dance Off by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. I was looking for cool things on the internet because that's our identity, and I came across this video. It was trending, and I really liked it. I thought it would be cool to talk about because it has some interesting elements that would make I think it's going to be a good summer hit. I don't know if any of the other ones that I've heard in pop music, like Justin Timberlake's new song or Gwen Stefani's song, are going to make it, but I feel like Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, they made a good one here. So we'll post the link in the show notes so you guys can check it out. It's pretty catchy, a little bit earbug. So my first question is, what do you guys think about the video and the song?
When I heard before this came out that Idris Elba was going to be on it, I got really excited. And then Idris Elba is only in the song for like 10 seconds, and I was not as excited.
To be fair, he also did the best part of the song.
He did do the best part of the song.
And he's the best dressed person in the video. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, but best dressed next to Macklemore, is that really an accomplishment?
Right. Classically dressed as a hobo, so...
You're not going to win them all, guys. You're not going to win them all.
But no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was kind of stupid. There were lots of dick jokes. You know, it's one of those Macklemore songs.
Idris Elba is the best part. No, I mean, it certainly was a good summertime jam. I mean...
It was a good summertime jam?
Yeah, it is...
All right, okay, just to make sure.
I mean, it's kind of hard to top, like, Thrift Shop, if we're being real. Like, it's kind of like, how do you come up with that? Like do better than that? You really don't. So, I mean, at least he's trying.
Yeah, this is Macklemore, and Ryan Lewis, despite, I've heard several of their songs. Actually, like, might vote for Downtown, honestly, if I had to pick one. But I really only like half of Downtown, which is the less rappy half. So maybe that's a problem with me. I agree the Idris Elba connection was the most exciting part. And I guess he does lend some vocals there in addition to appearing briefly on it. And he has that gravitas in his voice. But I guess I wasn't as earwormy for me. It didn't quite stick with me as much. But it's the video was spectacular, as most of their videos often are. So I enjoyed some aspects of it, but it was, maybe not right up my alley.
That's all right.
I forgot Downtown. Sorry, Downtown was a Macklemore song. I could have sworn it was a Foxy Shazam song. I goofed up a lot.
Well, to be fair, the video and most of the song is Eric Nally from Foxy Shazam.
That's what it was, and it also features him.
Yeah,
right.
And he's riding around on a giant chariot made of motorcycles and stuff the whole time.
It all makes sense.
Yeah, he's the best part of that song for sure. Dan brings up a good point comparing this to Downtown, because that song had such a defined hook that it almost took over the verses. And I feel like this song is the other way around, where there's almost no hook, and so it just feels like the whole song is verses, and none of the verses are really that great.
I was more intrigued about what was going on in the video than about the content of the song itself.
Yeah, and he's not explaining the song through the video, which is something that he typically does.
And they didn't really commit, I feel like, to the whole idea of, like, let's settle our arguments, our everyday arguments with dance-offs, which is, it seems like they kind of, it's glossed over. I feel like they could have committed more heavily to that as the idea here. But again, it's also like it's a fairly short song, I think, as these things go. So maybe it didn't feel like there's time. I don't know.
So that's a good segue to what Dan said. What do you guys think about solving everyday beefs with dance-offs?
I think I would lose a lot of them.
Yeah, me too.
So Dan's not picking fights. Taylor's not picking fights. Tyler, you picking fights? You gonna go out there and start beefing?
Why, yes, Sean. I think I would.
Okay, so Tyler's beefing.
Hey, Fred, how about you step off of my predetermined area that I reside?
I mean, there could be, when someone pulls into your parking space, like, I feel like there aren't a lot of other ways to get out that frustration and anger, when somebody steals that parking space out from under you. Whereas I feel like if there were a legitimate, back in the 1700s, 1800s, if someone stole your parking space, you just challenge them to a duel. So I guess you were parking your horse at that point. So here, I feel like there isn't really we don't have an extra legal system set up to let you solve these disputes in what I assume would be a peaceable manner. I assume nobody is dying from dance-offs, but I could be wrong. I think that there is a strong case for extrajudicial dance-offs as a legitimate system for solving, petty disputes. We don't have to burden the legal system. It doesn't cost huge lawyers' fees. I feel like there's a lot to do here.
Hold on, I was under the impression, since we're in America, we already had a system in place where it's like we just shoot them. We just get a gun.
Well, no. Dan just said that dancing is the new guns.
Yes, exactly.
So then, what are the 10 dance commandments?
I don't think that this panel is able to make that kind of thing. I don't think that we're accurate judges at that.
Thou shalt not Macarena.
Yes, obviously.
Wait, there's a level of commitment involved to knowing those moves, though. I don't think that.
Is there?
I don't think we should just
that's
cancel off all those dance songs, like dance along songs.
But is there a hierarchy then of, like, if you pull out a dance and then someone else pulls out a different dance, do we have a hierarchy that decides which dance wins? So, for example, if someone pulls out Macarena and then someone else their opponent pulls out Thriller, like, is there a defined system where you're like, or does it matter? Does execution matter?
Yeah, no, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask was what's the bazooka move of dance? You know, like what is the end all of dancing? What move is that?
I think the shotgun move in this video was actually pretty sweet. Where he picks someone up and then, like, uses them as a human shotgun to shoot at his opponent. It was towards the beginning of the video, but it was probably one of the best moves in the video.
If you have someone with you and you can pull that off, I feel like that works for me.
That was super meta. So dancing is the new guns, but the ultimate dance move is using dance with somebody as a gun.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
I mean, Sean, your brother's a dancer. What do you think his reaction to this would be? Is he like the new black belt of our extrajudicial dance fight system?
I don't know. There's so many kinds of dancing. That's like saying that all weapons are just guns.
Ooh, that makes this allegory really difficult.
Yeah, it does. There's all kinds of subtle things, you know? It really makes you ask, what is a weapon? Or what is dance?
But to get back to your question from earlier, how do we determine winners? I think it's a jury of your peers system. As in, all of the people crowded around you in the parking lot who shout, "Oh," when you do something awesome.
So just have a huge crew.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a rap battle, whatever based on the popular media I've witnessed, is that typically you know who won and lost at the end of it.
That's probably fair. Yeah. I feel like it is self-evident, you might say.
So is it like an endurance style thing then? Do you just dance until one person can't dance anymore? Or is it you dance so well you put them to shame? Or could it be both?
I feel like maybe there's like a structure to this, right? The first person lays down, you know, they do their dance. The next person responds with their dance. And then there's like a chance at rebuttal. Like if you feel like you can top what that person just did, you know, it could go on basically until someone has no moves left.
Right. I don't know if anybody would ever give up though. Seems like if it was dance, you'd go down trying, you know, like you would just flame out or something. It wouldn't really be like, I can't top that. Mm-mm.
I really miss the old days when people just shot each other when they had a problem with each other. Now everything has like resorted to like these 30-hour like nonstop dance marathons where like traffic is like halted because you're doing it in the middle of the street because someone took your parking spot, and they just keep going. And like it's the middle of the workday and people have places to go, but they like no. If you're within like 30 feet of here, you have to be part of this.
It's jury duty. You get summoned.
Yeah, it's like the jury duty.
I feel like maybe we haven't considered all the economic impacts of my extrajudiciary system, so that's fair. Perhaps we should submit it to a council of peers, or perhaps we may merely solve this by dance-off.
I think it sounds really democratic, you know? You're actually judged by a group of your literal peers that are
just random
right
people
there
on the street, yeah.
Right. They get to decide.
That would encourage people to not have a dance-off because they would have the time commitment because they've trained their whole lives for this moment and they don't want to like be late for work or like a date or something. They have to decide if it's worth it or not. And so people
I love how
there's
there's just this tacit assumption that they have trained their whole lives for this moment.
Well, I mean, if we've created a system in which you can only win by being the best dancer, presumably some people will invest the time and energy in becoming the best dancer.
Right.
And in the end, isn't that a happier society? Everybody's like devoted all their time to dance. So I was watching the promos for this fall's new television shows this past week or two because we've had the Upfronts, which are the point where all the networks try to sell their new shows to advertisers. Not to us, because we are the product, but the advertisers. And it struck me as I watched a couple of these promos, they, you know, One of them dug up Matt LeBlanc from Friends in a new sitcom. Joel McHale from Community's in a new sitcom. And what struck me particularly about those two was that they were your traditional 3-camera setup sitcoms with laugh tracks. And I found that I could not watch all of either of those previews because it was just so weird and disjointed. And I mean, I grew up on sitcoms with laugh tracks. That was a foundational part of my childhood, and that's basically more or less the way it was for a super long time. And it's only in recent, the last couple decades that we've really switched over to these single camera shows that don't have laugh tracks. Things like Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Office, all these great shows. And so it seems so much weirder when I switch back to something that does have a laugh track. So my question is, my first question, I suppose I should say, is why is this still a thing? Like, why do we still have these? Do you guys, is there something I'm missing?
So my parents have recently become empty nesters, within the last year and a half, 2 years. And they've been watching way more TV, and they really fell in love with The Big Bang Theory because I think more than anything, it feels familiar to them. I think there's just something familiar to that demographic about the 3-camera laugh track sitcom that something like The Office doesn't. My mother, who works in an office, is pretty much prime demographic for that show, but she's like, I don't understand it. It's weird. It's awkward. I don't think it's that funny. As opposed to Big Bang Theory, which she can watch the same episode 5 times and still laugh at it. So I'm almost wondering if it's a generational format change, maybe.
That's an interesting point.
I wonder if laugh tracks have more to do with cueing jokes than actually providing any context to the show. There's this really interesting clip of King of the Hill where Bobby and Peggy do the school news, and to cue all the jokes when something is funny, they use a cowbell or a noise or something like that. And that's when I started to kind of pay attention to this stuff, to use cues to kind of let on that humor is happening or humor is about to come. And I wonder if that's why laugh tracks have stuck around, is because they allow you to, know when something is funny. Oh, that's a joke. Oh, I get it now. I see it. Ha ha ha. At work the other day, somebody was talking about how they hate Seinfeld because they feel like there's a laugh track on Seinfeld when the jokes aren't even that funny.
I think that's totally true. I think that's one of the key points to laugh tracks, is the idea that you feel like the audience might be too dumb to find the joke on their own. Kind of insulting when you think about it.
No, you're right. You're totally right.
Yeah, my roommate worked in master control at a CBS station for a while, and consequently he's seen all of Seinfeld and Friends in syndication hundreds of times, and he plays it in our house just to fall asleep to. And I think that's such a statement about that format with the laugh track, where he's just yeah, it's all become noise to me.
Yeah, I think that's to the point earlier about, the idea that this is, I don't know if it's generational so much as it is familiar, right? There's a comforting rhythm to it, and it does sort of become noise eventually because when all the jokes are going to be. You can see the setup coming, you can see the punchline coming, and you probably wouldn't laugh if there wasn't a laugh track to a lot of these things, I feel like, because they're just not quite funny enough. I don't know. I watched a whole bunch of Seinfeld, including when it was originally on, and I remember loving it as a teenager. And I really can't watch it anymore. I just find it so jarring, and it's just not as funny as I remember it being. So there's something, I don't know if it's a generational thing or a growing up thing or whatever. Maybe as I go on and eventually hit senescence, I will find all these things comforting and funny again.
Go ahead, Tyler. You don't watch a whole lot of TV, so I'm curious to hear what you say.
We only watch cartoons, guys.
Well, also to be fair, for pretty much my entire life, I've had the living situation of we have the one TV that has the cable, the good cable, and that's where my father sits when he comes home, and then when he goes to bed. So it's I'm I mean, I just never like wanted to like. I had cable maybe in my room for like a little bit, but I just grew out of it. I just didn't care, so I just never like ended up watching that much TV. And it was like more in like high school, I would just like watch until he like came home. But like now, since I'm still living with my parents, spoiler alert, you know, he gets home at like 1 p.m. So it's like, when do I have like time to ever like watch anything, because he's just there. And I don't know. I just don't. I mean, they love Big Bang Theory. Like, a lot. I mean, I don't get it. I try to sit down, I try to watch it, and I'm like, this is intolerable. This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
My parents love it too. I haven't quite figured it out.
Is it because they think that's what we're like?
Yeah,
No,
I think
not.
it is. Oh, it's weird because I have one of my cousins who is a gigantic nerd, loves that show, and he's also a high school teacher, and he claims that he feels very he identifies with parts of that show, and I, as a lifelong nerd and happily described as such, do not understand it at all, because it feels like that entire show just seems like we're making fun of these people.
No,
And-
exactly. That's
Yeah,
why I
I
don't
don't-
like it.
Because they all of the main male actors all apparently like give the illusion that their characters have some sort of like social like disorder that makes them like, I don't understand the context of anything. Oh, funny. Like,
Yeah, the villain in that show is Will Wheaton because he's well adjusted. And there are so many problems with that.
Someone posted on Twitter a few months ago. Someone had they videotaped a scene from it, and I can't remember. They're basically just narrating as they do it, and they're just like, they get to the end and there's all the laughs from the studio audience, and he's like, "That's not funny. There's no joke there. It was just a lot of references strung together. It's not a thing." And I think that perfectly encapsulated how I feel about that show, which is a lot of it just seems like that sort of signaling like, this is a thing. You're familiar with this reference that we're putting down here? And it's not actually constructed as a joke most of the time, or it's so facile that like you see that punchline coming from about a mile away.
Star Trek exists and girls are weird.
Yeah. It's
Plot
Calvin and
synopsis.
Hobbes did those jokes like 20 years ago and did them way better.
I have a friend that's a geologist, and he fucking hates the show because he's like, they're not even doing anything. That's not right.
Wait,
Stupid.
you mean characters in sitcoms don't do their actual jobs properly?
That's not true. I watched The Office.
They sure sell a lot of paper, or give the illusion of selling a lot of paper.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that existing, the 3-camera format, but I do think it has something to do with just feeling comforted in the predictability of it. And I love the idea that somebody listens to that to go to sleep, because in my mind, that is just the perfect idea of what all of that is. The perfect mass marketed sort of lowest common denominator, soporific. You know, why turn to Ambien, guys? You can just listen to old Seinfeld episodes. They'll have the same effect. Probably wake up in the middle of the night, go get a sandwich.
To be fair, I watch Hearthstone videos on demand of streams when I go to sleep because I need just the right amount of monotony and
Because there's
before I
nothing
get
like
it.
watching people play a fake card game.
That's right.
That might be a generational thing.
We must go deeper. A virtual dance-off.
It's the only way. It's the only way to resolve this.
So, Dan, how do you feel about shows that take the 3-camera format and then convert it? So I'm thinking of something like Comedy Bang Bang, where it's shot in a 3-camera style but with no laugh track to create a sort of cringe humor effect.
I'm not the biggest cringe humor guy, and I think that's why I also struggle to get into The Office, which uses this sort of faux documentary format. And that's despite having gone to high school with 2 of the guys who were on The Office. I just never could bring myself quite to watch more than a few episodes of it, though I gather it improved in its run. I did, on the other hand, really love Parks and Recreation, which is one of my favorite sitcoms probably of all time, which also uses the same sort of docudrama just handheld format. And I think that works quite well in certain circumstances. I think any of these things, the format depends very much on what you're trying to accomplish with it. And so if you're using like a 3-camera format because you're making a point about the way that these things are shot, then that's great. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. But if you're just doing it because it's the rigors of your format, I feel like it's kind of weak sauce.
I think we've had a number of shows very recently that have done a really good job at kind of combating that, like using a format to make a point rather than just using a format because it's easy. So I'm thinking of things like Bob's Burgers or Kimmy Schmidt, or even to a certain extent Master of None, which almost kind of felt Wes Anderson-esque and not like TV sitcom-esque, but it was a half hour long. I don't know. There was a lot of strange stuff going on there.
Yeah, I think all those people have realized you can't just make, I feel like a lot of the networks have moved away from the three camera sitcom because it didn't jive as well with what people were watching anymore because of the success of things like The Office. And yeah, I think there's a lot of possibility with using those different formats to sort of make a point about this as a medium. And I mean, as a whole, all this stuff, I mean, you named 2 Netflix series there, right? Like that's the whole method of delivery has changed there as well. So why not shoot your sitcom in a totally different way?
Or create an animated sitcom within a sitcom.
Yeah.
And that's why there's like 5 CSI shows now.
Yeah, there's also nothing new in Hollywood. Let's be clear. Everything that wasn't a sitcom on the fall lineup is like a reboot or remake of something from between 20 and 10 years ago, which is super
I'm really
weird.
excited for the Rush Hour TV show. That'll be...
I think that one got canceled before it even started, but we do have Prison Break and 24, both of which felt like they were just on, but maybe that's because I'm old.
No, they do feel like they were just on.
Oh, that's because they were both super long shows that didn't go anywhere.
This is true. But we also got like Lethal Weapon, MacGyver. I mean, now you're going back to stuff from my childhood. This is a little surreal. But it does feel like this year in particular, there are no new ideas in Hollywood. And maybe that's why the 3-camera sitcom's back.
If we don't do 3-camera sitcoms, then how are we supposed to get to game shows in 5 years? You break the cycle of what America is told to watch. Can't do that. All right, we have an economy that's based on this.
There's only one way to solve this, guys. Dance off.
Basically, yeah.
But don't you want to see the resurgence of card sharks?
How far around are we going? Are we going back to vaudeville? Because I'm really interested in this coming all the way back.
Sean bringing up game shows has reminded me, like a typical millennial, we don't have cable in my home. And so I've been watching a lot of over-the-air TV recently because I'm in between Netflix series. There's now whole channels on over-the-air, not just on cable, that only do game shows or only do sitcoms. All day Saturday on MeTV is old superhero shows and then the Saturday night creature feature movie. And so I am kind of wondering if maybe we're just going to cycle back and we're going to go into these themed program hours and maybe take it as far as themed channels. I mean, there was talk a couple years ago of a full, all-the-time, 24/7 Simpsons network.
It didn't ever pan out. It was called FXX, and now it exists, but it doesn't play Simpsons all the time, just 4 days a week.
Most of the time.
They failed at their format. I think that there's a point. I mean, with stuff on demand, I feel like especially you can do those tiny niches where it's just like, hey, I'm just going to cater to these people who really only like sitcoms based on vaudeville shows, and you're like, there's a demographic that's going to watch that. I don't know who they are, but they're there. It's the ultimate slice and dice. You can just give people exactly what they want, and we'll all be siloed off in our own little customized TV channels.
I'm in.
Actually, it sounds pretty good.
Hearthstone.
Sounds pretty good. Great, guys. I gotta go.
So,
please,
if everyone was going to pitch a show for the next round of Upfronts, the 2017 Upfronts, knee-jerk reaction, what are you going to pitch? 3-camera sitcoms are apparently back. You could pitch one of those.
I gotta find some other terrible properties from my childhood that have not yet been destroyed. There must be something in there that is that still has legs. The problem is it's gotten so ridiculous that I'm now at the point where everything I can think of as a joke actually sounds like a pretty plausible show. Years ago, as a joke, I wrote some failed article I was going to pitch somewhere that was about terrible TV pilots, and one of them, which I still really like, is a group of vampires who decide to do a heist of a blood bank. And I feel like I could actually probably get that greenlit today.
Brilliant.
I love that plot.
I'll take it.
Well, there was that show for a while, or I guess for a while by I mean a month, about robbing Mick Jagger.
Oh, yeah.
that Sofia Vergara was in before she got Modern Family. Yeah, that was the whole plot of the show. They were just going to rob MacGyver, or Mick Jagger, rather. Robbing MacGyver. That
Don't rob MacGyver. You will hit a booby trap of some sort.
What if you actually broke into MacGyver's house and literally it was just garbage everywhere? Just like
bubble gum.
a McDonald's wrapper, a paper clip.
MacGyver is secretly a hoarder.
I mean, basically, because you never know what he's going to need, right? Like, it's just paper clips and
So he just
bubble gum.
accumulates it with the never knowing what he's going to need.
You open like a closet and it's just like 500 Swiss Army knives.
I think we've had the movies. They did okay. It's time for a true TV reboot of the Smurfs. Because why not?
You're fired.
It could be CG. It could be animated. It doesn't matter. It'll only last 10 weeks anyway.
This is true. Yeah, I mean, stuff does get killed a lot faster than it used to. So I feel like that's just the CGI. I think we had a version of the Smurfs. Wasn't it called Avatar? It's basically the same thing when you really think about it.
Most expensive movie ever made. Basically the Smurfs.
Basically. It's missing one guy in a red hat. That's pretty much it.
Well, yeah, because James Cameron can't let anyone else be the Papa Smurf.
I mean, he is the Papa Smurfiest of them all. He's behind the camera wearing the hat, guys.
Okay, you ready for my terrible pitch?
Obviously.
It's so because I live in Washington, D.C., where I'm fortunate enough to have C-SPAN on the radio. Check it out. I think there should be a hit show every week of all the really inappropriate things people call and say to C-SPAN. It should just be like one after the next. Just like, cut. Blah, 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 blah. Cut. Blah, 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 blah. Cut. And then just like 30 minutes or 22 minutes or however long it should be of just like, you hear the question and prompt and then you hear them pick up the caller. And then after the questions prompt, it just hangs up.
So it's basically John Oliver's The Most Patient Man in Television segment, but for a half hour.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like it. If nothing else, it'll probably get a few weeks on HBO.
That? Or a show that follows people that collect sneakers.
I'm in. Sounds like a winner to me. I don't think there's enough competitive video games on American television. That's what I think we need. Let's fill that time up with even more bullshit.
Just 24-hour esports coverage?
Yes, we love sports.
Prime time for that would be the only time that people weren't watching television. Like, dude, we gotta get up at 3 o'clock. Someone's going hard. You can't redeem this topic. You asked for it and you got it. What's your pitch? Then you're like disappointed that you got a bunch of crap besides vampires breaking into a blood bank, which I think is really genius. Dan, you should totally pursue that.
All right, I finally figured out what my calling is in life.
Writing vampire fiction?
You know what? If I were that famous, I would not be complaining.
Actually, it's vampire heist fiction, okay?
Yeah.
The heist is what would draw me in.
It's a little classier than that, guys. Come on.
That's what it is. We need an Ocean's 11, 12, and 13 TV show.
They just every season they keep adding one more guy.
It will be like the most expensive TV show in the history of the world because they just are like, all right, who else are we gonna bring in?
Well, no, the secret is that they just pick people who are like right on the edge of being famous, but the show is anchored by Nick Cage, and so every season it's about the same thing.
Like, come on, Shia LaBeouf, you're not doing anything right now. Come on,
Shia LaBeouf, come with me. We're gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
That's not fucking Ocean's 11. Laura!
I know. I'm saying it's like a crossover.
Is he trying to steal the
National Treasure in Ocean's 11? That's like the same thing.
Exactly.
Is he trying to steal the Declaration of Independence every season? He just keeps misplacing it essentially at the end of the season?
Well, I would assume that he is continually stealing famous documents.
That would also be the plot line of 24 and Prison Break.
Right, he holds up the Declaration of Independence and like a bird like swoops it out of his hand and it's like, oh, to be continued.
Here comes Eagly McEag face, just rips it out of his hand.
I think you just wrote another Taken movie, guys.
Huh?
Oh, that's the next season. They have to recruit Liam Neeson. He's their latest.
I was thinking he was some kind of weird, like, he had something for stealing founding documents, and so the next season he would steal the Magna Carta, and so on and so forth.
I feel like you run out of founding documents pretty quickly.
Yeah, those are really the only two famous founding documents I know, because I just ran out of founding documents.
Right. Then we'll go to Oceans Europe, and then they'll do it for all the important documents in Europe, and then there'll be Oceans 39 Asia.
Guys, we don't have to pitch every season of the show. We only have to get a pilot made. It's not that hard.
All right.
You basically covered it by saying every season they steal a different historical founding document, and the network executives just nod at that. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you just don't tell them you don't know what the rest of them are. You're fine. Yeah, you're getting that first season. After that, the show writes itself.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with history, right? And the History Channel will pretty much put anything on air. They have like zero standards at all. So just
as long as it has Nazis and or aliens in it, I think
there you go.
Upset.
Or rednecks. Don't forget rednecks.
I was not aware that was also an option.
Oh yeah,
Nazi
swamp
rednecks.
people. That show about loggers.
Oh yeah,
moonshiners.
What if we did an apocalypse where all the light beer in the world just disappeared, got raptured?
All the light beer.
I mean, I would be sad too because I like light beer, but like,
do all of the beer spirits raise from the dead and like go up into beer heaven, and then it's I don't understand what's going on.
Everything's turned to O'Doul's. Like the whole most of the big cities burned down.
Maybe that's what happened in The Leftovers, and we just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't a show just about people eating food the next day. I missed that one. See, if we'd had a laugh track, that would have killed. Thank you.
Okay, so I've got our third topic this week, and I wanted to talk about an article I found on Medium, and it is on a site that I had never heard of called Hi.co. So, ironically, Hi.co is a blogging website that announced its shutdown on another blogging website. I mean, that is an admission of defeat right there. But in the announcement, they explained that they care about their users, and so they want to archive everything they've ever posted on the site. And so they're archiving it onto these plates of nickel that are then being submitted to various museums and Library of Congress and all of this stuff. So I've lived through a few service shutdowns. Most notably, I lost pretty much all the pictures of my middle school life to the first MySpace shutdown, which, you know, is probably an advantageous thing. And so I was just curious if anybody else had any data lost in an online service shutdown over the years.
I mean, also MySpace, but also, like you said, I don't think I care that much. Although you clearly care more than I do about it, and you actually have gone and tried to...
There is one vacation that I want to get pictures of off of MySpace, and I can't find them.
I don't think I've ever lost data to a service shutdown, but I have definitely seen any number of services come and go. So I guess I feel like they're kind of... I mean... That's good of them to do that. It also seems like it's probably... I mean, I guess if they can fit it all in those nickel plates, there probably wasn't that much on there.
That was kind of my thought.
This isn't going to work if like Flickr shuts down and they're like, yeah, we're going to archive all our photos. It's like, nope, that's not going to happen. Sorry.
Yeah, they're like 2-inch by 2-inch plates. That's not a whole lot of data.
I mean, they're writing it really small, so there's that.
So... maybe it's just me that needed to have Backblaze circa 2007 then. But reading this got me thinking about Twitter and how every public tweet is logged in the Library of Congress, which I don't think a whole lot of people realize. And so I also wanted to know if y'all were aware of that and how you felt about your Twitter rants being logged in the Library of Congress.
First of all, I feel fucking awesome about that. Because
Right?
all of that is gold and should be preserved forever.
I'm so stoked about that.
Second of all, I'm a little worried that the Library of Congress doesn't know what they're getting into.
Yeah, I mean, think of all the bagel tweets they've gotten in the last 3 weeks from John Syracuse alone.
I mean, I get the satisfaction in knowing that somewhere in the government, my tweet of, I wonder how it feels to be the foot Zord of a Megazord feels. So
That really needed to be archived.
Someone will find that years from now.
And be like, what's a Megazord?
Yeah, maybe you need some cross-referencing in there.
Sean, is this why your Twitter's private?
No, there's nothing I even say that's that interesting.
well,
I feel
there
like
you go.
the downside to that is that people often are just real jerks on Twitter, and now that's all like given. Is that sort of assigned equal weight in that way? So we've preserved all of the hateful vitriol that people spew online, and basically given it the same importance as the brilliant nuggets of wit and wisdom that obviously we all come up with.
Right. Not to mention, famous historical manuscripts and all sorts of things like that. They're actually
Those are secured, by the way. I hear Nicolas Cage just goes on quite the rampage stealing those things.
The Library of Alexandria had to burn down, but those tweets are forever.
Well, to be fair, someone may burn down the Library of Congress after realizing all those tweets are in it.
Yeah, my money's on Perez Hilton doing that. Or Kanye.
Kanye's gonna have a heist, and he's gonna try to steal his tweets back from the Library of Congress. And oh my God, I just wrote another show that's gonna go on the air next year.
Earlier this week on Ellen, she asked Kanye, what are 3 things your wife could be mad at you about? And he said, the internet.
He's not wrong.
No. Knowing that your tweets are archived and that apparently Hi.co is going into the archives, does this make you think differently about what you contribute to the internet? Does it make you want to write specific things or not want to write specific things?
Not at all. If they can't have me at my worst, they can't have me at my best.
I guess I feel like it makes me want to do things that do have a little more permanence to them, which I guess is why I'm doing podcasts. That doesn't actually make any sense. So, I don't know, the idea of having stuff on... It seems weird to say having stuff on paper has certain, more permanence to it. But I think what's fascinating about hearing them with these plans to do, these engravings on nickel, and they cited things like the plate that's on the Voyager probe, which is, supposed to be sort of a universal explanation of, sort of an attempt to contact should anybody find that information, they would understand kind of what's going on. What's weird about that is you have all this stuff stored in digital formats, and you wonder, well, hey, in 50 years, is any of this stuff still going to be readable? I have files that date back long enough that I'm pretty sure I can't open them in any software that will run on my computer anymore. So at a certain point, does that become useless as information goes? Probably, which is why they're engraving everything on nickel. But I do kind of want to be engraved on nickel. I think that's a goal I've got now.
Bucket list.
Yeah, exactly.
The concept of that, particularly the plate on the Voyager, has always bothered me. It's weird that there's this idea that that would be understandable.
You don't think there's such a thing as universally intelligible language?
Do you think that out of all the possibilities, the infinite possibilities, that English is what people are other life forms are going to speak, or that they'll have eyes?
It doesn't have English on it. The eyes thing is certainly a bigger problem, but it doesn't have, I think it has sound wave or something. I don't remember.
Right. But that they'll have invented a device to be able to get the sound wave.
Well, if they got to space, I mean, presumably they've got some sort of technology.
I think
I would hope.
That's kind of the interesting question to me is if all of our tweets are archived, what is the Rosetta Stone that translates them in the future?
Urban Dictionary.
Wow. That was quick. You just satisfied my whole question.
That terrifies me, but thank you.
No, I think you're somewhat right. I think we mention it a lot here, but I think Reply All's yes, yes, no segment is a really good example of with no context whatsoever, having all this information just out there is completely useless to most people.
Yeah, definitely true.
And not everyone is going to have an NPR-sized budget to investigate tweets from 1,000 years ago, you know?
Don't tell NPR they have a NPR budget. That would make their fund drives really meaningless.
They have to send archaeologists in to unearth all the tweets. They have to send Nicolas Cage in. It's gonna be a whole thing.
Oh no, not again.
We're gonna steal the Twitter API. I don't even like that he keeps coming up in this podcast all the time. Like it's like he's in your head now once you even think about him, and now you can't even get rid of him.
He stole your mind.
He did. He burnt down my body. Stole my mind.
Or did he take your face off?
He's
Maybe
a
we're all Nick
multi-talented
Cage.
guy.
Maybe we're all Nick Cage.
No. I'm going to stop you right there. We are not that. Get out.
I guess my final thought on this is I've been thinking a lot about permanence of online content. Not necessarily, will people remember it for decades and decades, but when we contribute things, do we consider them as permanent? Because for some reason in my brain, things I post to Facebook feel considerably more permanent than things I post to Twitter. But I went back and looked at some of my tweets from 2007, 2008, and it was not a pretty sight. And so I'm just curious, when you write things or post pictures or whatever, how permanent do you consider what you're doing to be?
Probably more permanent than it actually is in many ways. I mean, I guess the internet's come a long way, but I certainly feel like I can still find stuff that I wrote as a teenager probably on the internet, even if it's not still publicly available. At least there are references to it, in the Wayback Machine and stuff. And for years, there was some terrible top 10 list I had written as a teenager that was still easily findable on Google, which was kind of awful. I think it's finally fallen off. Whatever site it was on has disappeared from the web for good. But I'm sure you could probably find it in the Wayback Machine if you tried really hard. So I guess the answer is everything is. It's weird. I think it's weird because there's no demarcation between what will actually stay around and haunt you forever and what will disappear as it scrolls off the page. And the internet's just kind of weirdly fickle that way.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Dan on that one. I totally agree. And that's why I feel like I don't post that much stuff on social media. Or I wait for it to be something I really, really, really care about. Just because of that fact, I don't really know what's going to stick around. So I'd rather not chance it. It's not because I don't think, I'm afraid of it. It's a Wild West on here.
I would just be pleased if anyone even remembered who I was 5 minutes from now, so whatever. Oh no, I realized I'm a goldfish in a fish tank. What is this world we're in? Oh no! Man, you're salty this week, Taylor. What the fuck? Ironic. Anyway, so I'm talking about spam. What reminded me of this? I don't know. Something reminded me about spam. Oh, that's right. That's what it was. I went to the Asian Food Fest last weekend. I had spam wasubi, which is a little bit of spam with some seaweed and rice. And so I was like, oh, I should make some spam sandwiches. I love spam. I forgot. And so I ate some. I went to the store and we got some. We made some for breakfast the other day. So I wanted to see what everyone's experience was with spam. When was the first time you had spam? Do you like it? What do we got?
I can honestly say that I don't think I've ever had spam. I don't know how. It just never really was a thing for me.
Taylor, you're in Boy Scouts. How did you get away with that?
We cooked real food.
All right.
No, we had one of those scoutmasters that made us cook real food for everything, even if it was only Sunday morning and we were just packing up the tents and going home. We still had to wait to cook a real breakfast, do dishes, pack them all up, and then pack our tents up and then go home. He was kind of a hard ass like that.
I too have never had spam, even though I was just in Hawaii earlier this year, which I think is the capital of spam in the U.S.
It is.
Still haven't really had it. Am I missing out? And tell me.
I think it is. It's basically just a really salty ham.
I do love ham.
I'm really indifferent about ham.
My friends used to throw a party called Hamapalooza. It was pretty great. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess they have a lot of spam in Hawaii because I guess they had a lot of surplus from World War II, I believe is what it was. So they're like, well, we have all this canned meat. We might as well use it for something. So they made Spam Wasubi.
On the note of Hamapalooza, I didn't get to go this year, but the improv company Dad's Garage down here in Atlanta, which is where a few of the people that are now on Archer came out of, they do a yearly festival called Bacon Fest, where they have 200 pounds of bacon and a bunch of kegs of beer, and you just pay to get in and get unlimited bacon and beer and watch a ton of improv all day.
How much does that cost?
It's like $60.
I mean, I guess if I get as much...
But it's all the bacon and beer you can consume over the course of like 6 hours.
I guess that's a lot.
That's
They probably make a lot of their money back.
Oh, I'm
probably
sure
not good for you.
It's definitely not good for you.
Well, see, I'm the person that, like, goes way too far all the time, that I'm like, if you don't want that, I'll eat the rest of that, you know? Like, I have, like, 3 slices of a extremely large pizza. I'll have, like, another one. Just because it's still there, I gotta eat it. So I would consume more than probably $60 in bacon and beer. Alright, so clearly no one's had Spam before.
I have.
You have?
I've actually had Spam.
Alright, Sean, how'd it go? Do you like it?
Yeah, it's not bad. Depends on how you make it. I prefer it. I ate it once just straight out of the can, just put it on crackers.
Yeah.
Wasn't that big of a fan of it. Definitely better when it's fried.
Right. That's pretty much pretty much the exclusive way I have it is if it's cooked. I don't really want to have it.
They do make different kinds of Spam. Like, when I was in Houston in October, we went to Walmart, and there was flavors of Spam. And when I went back to Walmart up in Ohio, they just had Spam and Spam Light.
What's the difference between Spam and Spam Light?
Spam Light has significantly less sodium. Instead of, like, probably 50% of your daily intake of sodium, it has, like, 25%.
So it's like Diet Coke and regular Coke. They're both still bad for you, but one is slightly less bad?
Right. One gives you the illusion that you're not having something that's terrible for you.
That's all I ask for in life.
Is illusion.
Illusion. The illusion that I'm not eating something bad. You go a long way with that, let me tell you.
Hey man, Chicken McNuggets are now all white meat.
Man.
Dark meat tastes better though, so there's that. Just throwing that out there. Maybe we're gonna have to sell this with a dance off now, but
I mean, yeah. So all right. So then, since half the room hasn't had Spam, why haven't you had Spam before? Is it because you're afraid of it, or just haven't had an opportunity?
Not to take this to a super dark place or anything, but part of my family was in very low economic standing, and so things like Spam were always kind of like, we went through that time period, and now, you know, we don't want to eat that way because we don't want to remember growing up like that. And so we never really had Spam or a lot of like canned food, really. We bought a lot of like fresh food because I think my whole mom's side of the family just kind of associates that with a really rough time. Also, it's really horrible for you.
I think that's probably point A. I would say also I in general, I don't really like eating things out of cans. I mean, soup's one thing. I feel like soup in a can, that makes a lot of sense to me. But just like the solid gelatinous block of meat from a can, something about that does not inspire confidence in me, I guess.
I mean,
think
to be
Spam
fair,
is the only thing that can be both solid and gelatinous.
Is it because it's from a can, or is it because it's like consolidated ham paste?
Yes.
I mean, do you eat hot dogs?
I do eat hot dogs.
I eat all beef hot dogs. I don't do the regular hot dogs.
So would you eat
Those are
chicken from a
gross.
can?
gross.
I only eat chicken from a can when I'm backpacking.
No, I mean like a whole chicken in a can.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
What? No.
Yes,
I'm going
it
to
is.
pass.
I'm also going to pass. I'll eat chicken in a biscuit.
I mean, that's an entirely different scenario. Is the biscuit then in a can? I have many questions.
I mean, it sounds like it just because like the nutritional facts are like listed on the can, you're like, oh, I guess this is awful for me. But I'm sure if you took like, if they actually like labeled like any other meat, you're like, oh, this is equally just as shitty.
Right.
They
so
label hot dogs.
when you pick up the can of Spam and on the back it has a caloric density of like 600 calories versus in like 2 servings versus picking up a package of hot dogs where it's like 100 calories per hot dog, but it's 8 servings of hot dogs.
Yeah, you don't eat just one hot dog. Let's be real right now. Unless you do, and that's fine.
I appreciate the lack of judgment.
This is a judgment-free zone.
I eat my hot dogs, but I demand a salad.
Look, man.
Yeah, balance. It's all about balance.
Speaking of a salad, on the front of every Spam can, they have like a salad and like little bits of Spam, like kind of like diced up into it. I'm like, why is that what you want to display for like people to be like as a sample of how you want your people to eat it?
See,
Like,
Can you tell me that the ham at the salad bar is any better than Spam?
I don't get the ham at the salad bar because I know better. So I think the thing that really like bugs me about Spam is this presentation issue. So you're right, on the can it shows like chunks of Spam on salad, which is problematic. But then in the video you sent us where they give Spam to little kids, all of the kids, their immediate reaction is to just dump it all out onto a plate into a big block of Spam. And I'm like, this is the grossest way to present food potentially ever. Like, I don't ever want my food to just come out in a block.
Wait, okay, let's make an exception. Canned cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving.
That's
or no
right.
can.
That's right. And that's also a disgusting gelatin that we eat. That's also happens to be delicious.
I think it's not
no cranberry sauce at all.
Oh, whoa.
Get out.
I had a
Please.
grandmother who used to home make cranberry sauce, and it was awful. And a couple years ago, somebody's spouse came to their first Thanksgiving and was eating all the cranberry sauce to try and suck up. And we were like, oh, what's going on? And then after dinner, he revealed that he had Ziploc bags in his pocket and was stashing it all in Ziploc bags to throw away after dinner. So yeah.
Wow. First of all, that guy is seriously enterprising. But on the other hand, if you show up to your new family's Thanksgiving dinner with Ziploc bags prepared to throw stuff out, I feel like maybe you're not engaging in the kind of trustful relationship that you should be.
Oh, we had forewarned him. The
Oh,
cranberry
okay,
sauce
okay.
is not good. He just took it to a whole nother level.
That is dedication right there.
Okay,
But my
so
point is, any food that comes out in a block, like, unless it's on a stick, you don't want to eat it. That being said, I refuse to eat Spam on a stick. Don't even egg me on, Tyler. I'm not going to do it.
All right. So basically, every time my topic's completely bob, it's time to figure out how to make something sexy. How do we make Spam sexy? Let's go.
Rebranding.
All right, go. What do we need? What's the angle?
Let's put it this way. I mean, your name has become synonymous with something that people don't want, right? That's what spam means now. So it's time to ditch the name spam and to come up with something else totally new, something sexy, something with it, something hip. This is all stalling for time, so I can see if I can figure out a name. And so far... So far, all I got is Meat Block. That's not winning any awards, people.
Wait, hold on. That's like Minecraft. We
Yes,
got it.
exactly. There you go. We're going to capitalize on the success of Minecraft and call it Meat Block. It's so self-referential that all the hipsters will really be into it.
I was
Because
gonna
they're
say,
like, oh, yeah, Meat Block. You ever have a Meat Block smoothie? Those things are delicious.
you start by offering the tie-in to Adult Swim, and if they don't take it, you literally go anywhere else and say, Meat Block. It's the new thing that the kids want. It has a Minecraft reference. They're going to love it. And then we just created another new TV show.
There you go. Solved.
I think that Adult Swim would be the network to accept spam for what it is.
That's kind of my idea is, let's do a tie-in deal to make spam into something. Somebody showed me this weekend Tim and Eric's YouTube cooking show. Have you seen this? It's called Tim's Cooking Tips, and it's just really strange, cringe humor cooking around basic recipes. I think they could very easily do a legitimate brand tie-in with spam, make Tim and Eric a bunch of money, maybe get hipsters interested in spam. Either way, Dan's right. All the money's in hipsters.
The money is in hipsters. You shake them hard enough, money comes right out.
They like to pretend they're anti-capitalist, but we know.
It's unfortunate, though, because they're like artisanal coins. They're not really worth anything.
It's all pennies.
Yeah, that's the only cool way to do it now, guys. Everybody's only paying with pennies anymore.
Spam's website is really good. It's good. It's interesting that the first thing that shows up is Spam Wasubi. The first thing you see is like, look at this sushi spam, and it's a bunch of recipes. I'm like, wow,
I don't feel like they need to rebrand it as much as they need to show you what you can do with it. I think it's stigmatized into being this canned meat, and you don't really think about it as like something that could be considered a delicacy. And I think that they can, because I feel like cult foods get a following, that they could really pick up on this.
Like
and do
Hamburger
something with
Helper.
their brand. Yeah. Well, not that, but like sriracha and stuff like this. Like if you come up with, like, if they could get together with Tasty or something and make like Spam videos where you could make Spam look attractive, I mean, I think you're in good shape.
I don't know if you've looked at the rest of the Spam recipes here. Some of them, I have some concerns.
Do tell.
Spam fries. That looks like the grossest thing I've ever seen.
Wait, what is that?
It's literally just like cut like a block of Spam cut up into something roughly the size of French fries.
That's hot dogs. It's just little finger-sized hot
I know,
dogs.
but there's something about it really. I don't know, guys.
I'm not feeling the best ever baked beans, which is just chunks of Spam on top of baked beans.
What are you supposed to do with it? What are you supposed to do with it, Taylor?
If you can pronounce the one above that, I will give you full credit on that one.
Actually, I think I might be able to. Gemütlich. Nope, my German's not good enough. I give up.
Gemütlich.
A kid.
The two-step Spam grilled cheese. Okay.
Everybody has had ham and grilled cheese before.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I just like how they mention it's a two-step process as opposed to most grilled cheese. That's what, like, is like 7? Like, how many steps does it take you guys to make grilled cheese?
And that's the only 1-star recipe on the whole page.
Oh.
I think some of these look pretty good.
Spam saucy meatball sliders. There you go. That's Hawaiian Spam burger.
Oh yeah, that sandwich looks really good.
Spamkin's breath.
It's probably difficult to make, but...
Oh my
All
god.
right, so maybe...
Spam tacos? No, thank you.
What if they really push the angle of this is Hawaii's favorite meat?
I mean, there's a lot to recommend Hawaii, having just been there. It's beautiful. There's great beaches. There's fantastic hiking. I don't think Spam is what you should lead with. I feel like Hawaii, you've got a little more pride than that. Come on.
Well, it's not.
They live on an island. What are they supposed to do?
Pineapple. They just identify with pineapple. I think you just go whole hog on that one. Fish great. Seafood great.
Was that a pun? Did you just slip a little joke in there? I'm gonna have to laugh track that.
Never hurts.
I'm just saying, Hawaii doesn't have to push it. I'm just saying, Spam could be like, they could call it what it is. Be like, we are Hawaii's. Like, we do sell the most Spam in Hawaii. You know, like they could push that angle and they could make.
Hawaiian Spam piggies in a blanket is one of the recipes on their website.
I also like that bacon-wrapped Spam bites is also on there, which is just taking a piece of ham and wrapping it in bacon.
Tyler, you and Catherine should legitimately try to make the Spam Hello Kitty.
I just sent that to her.
I'm just wondering, how many more times do we have to mention Spam before they sponsor us? And what would a podcast ad for Spam even sound like?
Hi, Internet. Are you hungry?
What a what?
You won't be afterwards.
Oh my god, I want
for
Sunny
you.
Dogs. Oh my god, look at those things.
The Spam podcast ad is literally just the sound of the can being popped open and then the as it like falls out. That's literally the entire ad.
Like with the background is like Hawaiian music that kind of sounds like SpongeBob.
Like a ukulele, basically. Yeah. If that doesn't sell Spam, nothing's gonna.
I can hear Jason Snell reading it now. Visit spam.com/the Incomparable.
Yeah, 20% off your next can of Spam. I gotta stop looking at the Spam recipes. Sorry, guys. It's really.
Oh, the about page is
trying.
just as good.
That's all I'm saying.
I kind of want to get Spam now.
If you look, the headline of the about page is "The Little Blue Can of the Past, Present, and Future."
Mm-hmm.
Pork
What?
with ham is an
What is
ingredient.
this?
There are 12.8 cans of Spam eaten every second, you guys.
A Spam
Great.
croissant surprise? Oh my god.
Probably not just one person though. Let's hope.
I'm buying this at the store this week.
Well, you're supposed to do it for homework, but that's fine.
What's this? What's the surprise in the spam croissant surprise? Do I even want to know?
A dance-off.
You really don't.
Well, if you knew, it wouldn't be a surprise.
The new Spam Museum opens in downtown Austin, Minnesota this year.
Ooh.
Hold up.
Field trip.
Why is the Spam Museum in Minnesota?
Hawaii didn't want it.
Hawaii?
Where did you think it would be?
In Hawaii.
There's a guacamole dip. Why is there guacamole dip with spam?
I want to be the person that comes up with these things.
There's an FAQ as well, just so you know.
Is one of the questions, what is in spam?
That is the beginning of the about page, is 6 simple ingredients, which is what's in spam. However, why are spam products so popular in Hawaii is one of their questions.
What's the answer? I'm curious.
It indeed, as we discussed, goes back to World War II, when the luncheon meat was served to GIs, and then it became adopted into local culture. There you go. We had a lot left over, is not mentioned, but seems pretty plausible to me.
Oh my god, this sounds so good.
Hold up. Who is the Sir Candelot character?
He's a little night boy.
He is the official spokes-character of the Spam brand in America. The diminutive knight is a messenger for the Spam brand on a self-proclaimed crusade to rescue the world from routine meals.
He looks like a knight, is basically the answer. I just Googled him. Good news.
Oh, I'm totally making the Spamsgiving Day Delight for next year. I'm totally making that.
Oh my god.
Do tell.
Give me a link.
There's actually
please.
a lot of good recipes on here that looks very appetizing.
What's in the Spamsgiving Day surprise?
Okay, it's 1 12-ounce can of Spam, oven-roasted turkey. So you got to have a store that carries the oven-roasted turkey version of Spam. 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. 3/4 of a cup of French onions.
I'm going to throw up right now, guys.
A half of an 8-ounce can of jellied cranberry sauce. There's a lot of cans in this one.
Cranberries. Oh my god.
1 cup of prepared instant mashed potatoes or refrigerated mashed potatoes, and 1 10-ounce can of refrigerated croissant roll dough.
So basically, if it doesn't come out of a can or a box, you should not add it to Spam.
Maybe they just know their market and they're like, listen, you're not going to make fresh mashed potatoes for this. Let's be real.
Well, I think that's part of their rebranding right now, is that it's supposed to be kind of ironic. You know, if you're going on here and you're looking for recipes to make with Spam, you're either really into it or you're like, I'm just going to do this because this is funny. Who's the creator of all this stuff? Is it somebody who's in their 50s and grew up and loved this stuff? Or is it some out to get 'em 20-somethings chef that got hired on as a joke? And they're like, you know what? I'm going to take this job seriously for once.
The social media intern was like, shit, we got to come up with something good. All right, we have at least one person knows how to cook, right? Can we get him just to make some recipes? I need content for today. Can you just do that real quick? All right, thanks.
Oh no, these are all submitted by people that made this stuff.
You have me seriously considering applying to be the social media manager for Spam. And it's time to wrap up the show now, as we always do, with a round of shameless plugs from the panel. Internet personality and graphic designer Tyler Reed, what do you want the people to do this week?
Hey everybody, you can find my work at tylerdreed.com. You can also find me on the socials on Instagram and Twitter as TDR Design. I start my job at The Rook tomorrow, which is Cincinnati's #1 board game cafe. I'm very excited to see you all there and play board games. I will teach you them.
Political analyst and menswear specialist, Sean Evans. What shameless plugs do you have this week?
Check me out on Twitter, Evans_MURGE. It's mostly where I'm at. Been busy on there a lot lately. Also check out my new article, Race to the Bottom 2016, End of the GOP Bracket Point 3.0. And this week, my favorite worst podcast had to be NPR's Hidden Brain, where Uber's quote-unquote behavioral economist goes online to talk about how surge pricing incentivizes drivers to do work. It's not good.
That's sure problematic.
It's not convincing.
The only person with real titles around here, journalist and podcaster Dan Moren. Thank you for joining us and bringing an air of legitimacy to this show.
I'm happy to do so and bring whatever air I might bring.
And what shameless plugs do you have?
You can catch me on Twitter at dmoren. You can hear me on many podcasts, as you said. The Incomparable, Inconceivable, Clockwise, The Rebound. Just, Google around a lot. I'm on a lot of podcasts. And you can read my stuff at Six Colors and my weekly column at Macworld.
And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at TC Olmstead. You can follow the show and like the show on Facebook at Dudes Brunch. And be sure to submit in questions and topics for our audience choice episode on, well, we don't know when it's going to come out yet, because a bunch of travel's going to happen. So our submission deadline is June 1st. So if you want to hear us talk about something, send us an email or a tweet by June 1st. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll join you next week for more brunch.
Hello, my honey, oh, my darling, my ragtime.